gentlemen, welcome back to Podcast Juice.
You know what he's saying.
Can't even say the Prince podcast anymore. Like, so crazy. I'm so used to saying that. But you already know what it is. Let's just say it's Podcast Prince. How about that? Hopefully that catches the ear of who it needs to catch. But anyway, you already know what it is. It's Prince Podcast. I said it. Michael Dean. Today I am joined by a man I met out in Minneapolis this past, whenever the past celebration was. My mind escapes me. But I saw him in a couple different places. But I also really saw him. He was up on the Wheels of Steel, or I don't know if it's the Wheels of MP3 these days. But he was the DJ at an event I went to. And I want to say it was the Paisley Five and Dime event.
That's it.
Yep, meet and greet party. But anyway, I'm talking about Mr. Willie Adams. Sir, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, man?
Man, I'm doing all right. Just another day and getting into some of this Prince as we do, and really wanted to shine a spotlight on what you are doing. Of course, I have to mention the Purple Playground. Am I saying it right?
Yes, Purple Playground, baby.
Purple Playground, and what you guys got going on over there. Let me set up a little bit. So I saw some pictures on Facebook, I believe, or it could have been Twitter as well. And it was like, I think it was Dr. Fink or Bobby Z. And it was in the studio. And my first thought was, they're working on some new stuff. What's going on? Are they rehearsing? And then I seen a couple other people in the picture that I kind of know. And I was like, oh, okay. They got cats in there, you know what I'm saying? Watching and being able to hang out. I was like, that's cool. And then I started to see there was these young kids was doing stuff. And I seen a video with you and some kids, like it was in a classroom, and it was doing like Housequake. And I was like, what is this? And I was like, this is so dope. So little did my ignorant ass didn't know at the time what was going on, but I do now. And this is a part of the Academy of Prince. And man, I really want to, have you talk about this whole thing, man, and let people know, because this is amazing. We always talk about Prince's legacy and, getting his music out there to younger generation. And yeah, we all love it. And we got all the stuff, but what about the kids, man? So this is a great thing that you have here. And I'm going to run my mouth. Bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. Before I even let you talk, let me give a little bit of background on Mr. Adams, because this brother's accomplished, man. And we need good brothers like you, man. So I want to salute you. I'm having a good time. I want to salute you. So let me read a little bit here. So Willie Adams, and it's a brother. His name is Willie. You don't need to. I ain't meant to be. Non-people of color called Willie. That's a very old school name, but I love it. Willie Adams is a seasoned and dedicated teacher and mentor with an undying passion for quality in education. Now listen to this. He has received a Bachelor of Arts degree in Film and Media Studies from the University of California, Irvine. Irvine, excuse me. I didn't get a degree, so there you go. In 1996, that was in 1996, and his Master's of Arts in Multicultural Literature for Children and Young Adults from the University of San Francisco in 2008. He has taught history and humanities in public and private schools. He's funded and worked for a variety of social justice and art-based programs for underserved youth throughout the country and internationally. Woo. In addition to his work in education, Willie has been a diehard Prince fan since the age of 8 and a professional DJ since 13. What? We got to get into that. In the 1990s, he was a hip-hop music director and on-air personality at KUCI 89.9 FM. I don't know if that's how they say that, but Irvine, California, and that was from 1991 to 96. He's also been DJing Prince parties in LA and Orange County in 93, and has DJed Prince parties in the US, England, and Australia. So this brother's international. All right. Is currently a vocalist and DJ in the Prince tribute band, the Purple Ones. I did not know that, man. And is an active board member of Purple Playground. I'm about to say Purple Underground. It's a whole other situation. A Purple Playground, a nonprofit established after Prince's death to carry on his legacy of music education for youth. The Academy of Prince was Purple Playground's inaugural one-week summer program where 12 kids learned Prince history and wrote and recorded original songs and had members of who? The Revolution and The Time play on their recordings. At this point, Willie already drops the mic before he spoke. But man, very impressive, man. Just to get into this first, talk to us about the Academy of Prince and how that came to be.
Okay. So the Academy of Prince came together when myself and Heidi Vader, I can't even begin to talk about any of this without talking about and shouting out Heidi, my sister. It was really after Prince's death, I went to Minneapolis. I think this was in September. The Revolution did a series of shows at First Ave, and Questlove was DJing. This was in September, I want to say 2014, 15. And met Heidi, and we were just chatting, and she wanted to start a nonprofit to basically just to raise funds to give to music programs. And I was like, wait, hold up. It's like, we should just start our own program. Like, and maybe that's just me being from the Bay. That's just kind of the Bay spirit, man.
Okay.
It's like,
town business.
you know, we you know what I mean? It goes back to,
Too short and all that.
Selling tapes out the truck.
Yep.
We just make it happen. We don't really, like, if we want to do something, we just do it. So I just kind of brought that energy and spirit to Heidi and to the Purple Playground board, and they wanted to follow through with it. So it was a lot of work, let me tell you. It wasn't easy to really launch this thing and actually get to the point where you saw the videos. It was a lot of work. But again, it was really Heidi and myself and Karen on the board, really working really hard and making it happen.
How did you guys, so I for some reason in my mind, I'm thinking that you live in Minneapolis, but you live in the Bay Area, or where you stay at?
Yeah, I live in the Bay Area, man.
Okay.
Just right outside of Oakland. I'm a Bay Area native, born and raised.
That's what's up.
And in the Prince world, there's a huge Bay Area, Minneapolis connection.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, like, all of his idols, basically are from here. Santana, Sly Stone, Larry Graham. That's all Oakland, right? And he recorded his first album here. So there's a really strong kindred connection between Minneapolis and the Bay Area. So it was really a natural fit for me to partner with somebody like Heidi. You know what I mean? So
okay. How did what was the process then of like getting is it like a curriculum? I struggle to say some of these words. And then also, how did you guys, find or pick the young people to be a part of this?
The students. Yeah. So again, based on my background, I've, done summer programs before for kids. So it was really sort of easy for me to do this because of my love for Prince, to just sort of take what I had already done and just filter it through that lens. So I created and wrote the curriculum. I really wanted the kids to have a background on not only Prince the person, but, the Minneapolis sound. So we brought in guest speakers and writers and historians from Minneapolis. John Bream came in, Andrea Swinson came in addition to, Bobby Z and Matt Fink and Jelly Bean, to just really tell the story of, the Minneapolis sound. That was super important to me, that we not just sort of glamorize Prince as this alien, but he actually came from something. And he was his life was very similar to theirs. He was a regular person, So, so I created the curriculum, to sort of do that.
Wow. Okay. And then the other part was, how did you guys find the kids to come in and learn this program?
That was interesting. We sort of sent the word out in April at the celebration, just a call asking kids to apply. to just fill out. It was a very simple application process, and then you sent in a short video of yourself either singing or doing whatever it is that you do. And we thought we would get like thousands of applications, but we really didn't. We didn't get a whole lot at first. You know what I mean? I think Prince is a little bit removed from this generation. You know what I mean? So I think unless you're a real music head and you're 12, 13 years old, it might not even be on your radar screen. Right. So we didn't get a whole lot of applications at first, but they just started trickling in around June. And by the time June hit, we had 12 solid kids who wanted to do the program, who were ready to rock and roll. And I think when you're doing any program, you want to make sure you get the right students. Like, you don't ever want to force kids to try to do something just if they're not really into it. So we got the right kids. I mean, they were fired up. They really wanted to learn, and it was awesome.
Interesting. So now, were these? I imagine, were the parents Prince fans, or like, how did they know to hear about this? I was curious.
Right. Yeah. So most of the parents, were diehard Prince fans.
Okay.
And they just wanted their kids, just like I would want my son to be exposed to his music and his legacy, and to have the opportunity to write and record their own music. So yeah, a lot of the parents were definitely fans, which was awesome, actually.
Oh, tight.
And super supportive. We had one parent made snacks every day. It was awesome. You know,
nice.
It was really a communal family thing.
Okay, and the other question is, did this cost something for your parents, or did you have to pay, or this? How did this work?
So no, it was actually the students did not have to pay for anything. We did a fundraising campaign again that really started in April, and the community really stepped up and made this happen. So this is really for everybody. And the reason why I'm even doing the podcast is it's not really about me. It's more, I want the folks who actually donated and gave money to really hear the story and to understand that what they did was super impactful and transformative for these kids. And so I got to shout out everybody who, even if you gave $5, $2, it all helped, and it all made it possible for us to do this.
And so this is incredible. And I don't know why I didn't know much about this before it happened, but so you guys created basically a school, it was a 1 week sort of course, but hands-on with, the revolution, members of the revolution, and the time to come in and to educate these kids about Prince's music. My understanding is they actually created a song or songs, right?
Yeah. So again, that was Heidi. Heidi being really a legend in Minneapolis in the music scene, having been in it since the 80s. She's connected to Bobby Z and Matt Fink. She knows them personally. So, and Jelly Bean Johnson, they're good friends. So when we got organized and I had the curriculum ready and we were really ready to rock and roll, and she asked them to participate, I got to thank them. They wholeheartedly gave their time and their talent for these kids, and it was really a beautiful thing. So,
wow. What studio was that where you guys were recording all that stuff?
Okay, so this is actually very important too. We got to shout out T.C. Ellis, because I don't know if the listeners know, but he should actually be on your podcast. To interview this cat.
That's true.
He after Graffiti Bridge, he started. He got into the education world and started a school in St. Paul called the High School for the Recording Arts. And it's a beautiful facility in St. Paul where kids and homeless kids can come to not only learn and get, digital arts and music recording training, but they can get their GED. And he helps them with housing. It's really an amazing thing that he's doing for the community. So we presented the idea to TC in the High School of Recording Arts, and he he gifted us the space to be able to work there. So big shout out to T.C. Ellis.
Wow, amazing. See, this is the thing I love when you hear about, real people doing stuff. It's so easy for us sometimes as fans. Somebody you say, "Oh yeah, with T.C. Ellis." Oh, you mean T.C. Ellis that was in Graffiti Bridge? Oh man, listen. T.C. First of all, T.C. Ellis will beat your ass. But second of all, TCL that's so dope that he actually is doing educational work and is actually helping these children, man, and pushing it forward. And for him to be able to have resources to make available to you guys is awesome. And the other thing too, man, is I was going to ask you, now, you guys did all of this, Purple Playground, shout out to Heidi and everybody involved. Did you have to, this was you guys doing this. This wasn't like, oh, we got to go to Paisley Park or the estate and get them. It was just basically fans coming together. Am I right?
Yeah, this was strictly grassroots. We did not, and it wasn't anything malicious, but we didn't get any support or anything from Paisley Park or the estate. They did ask us to actually make some modifications out of respect for certain things, but no, this was all grassroots. This is the community coming together. This is the people coming together to make this happen for these kids.
And I'm glad you said that. And I didn't mean to throw shade at the estate. I was just wanted to make the point.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I just wanted to make the point that you don't have to wait. Like, we can do stuff. The fans, we can go online and argue about this and that and the third, but we can actually, if we want to, put boots on the ground, really get something popping off. And in this case, you guys got something that was, one, teaching the younger kids about Prince, the music, and y'all didn't have to wait. Like, y'all, I just think that's so dope that y'all came together and just made it happen, man. And like, it impacted on these kids to maybe one of them may want to actually, you know what, I want to do music, or I want to learn about this. Or maybe they just like learned the work ethic of what it takes to do this stuff. Maybe they, they're into whoever they're into musically, but then to actually see it for themselves and go in the studio. I don't know if this was their first time going to the studio or what, but I imagine, what did you think the kids walked away with out of this?
That's the thing about, well, first of all, I want to say Purple Playground has nothing but respect for the estate. And I would say if you want to do something, you need to respect their rules and parameters. You don't necessarily have to like them or agree with them, but the estate has a responsibility to hold up the legacy as well. So if you want to do something, just make sure it's legit, like what we did. But in terms of the impact it's going to have on the kids, as a teacher, you kind of never really know. As teachers, we plant seeds, and you just hope that they grow and blossom. I saw kids transform over the couple of days, because in reality, Michael and everybody, we all love learning. That's just intrinsic. When we're kids, we love to learn new stuff. You're taught that school is boring or school is a task. But when you present learning as fun and something active, kids will take to it like a fish to water and just go beyond your expectations, and that's what happened. So, like I said, we had 12 kids. What we did was we divided them into 4 groups of 3. So they had to collaborate and work together to come up with songs. And at the end of the week, we have 4 original songs that these kids wrote, all inspired by the learning that they received that week. And that's what it's about.
Okay. What was the, give me the story on, that footage when they was doing Housequake. What was that about?
So that's me, like every day we start, you got to get up and move. We always talked about the funk, and I start every day out like, where's the funk? Where's the funk? And then the kids we just get a rhythm going, and that always brings us back together. And so every day we would start off with the Housequake dance. I would play Housequake, and that's how we got our blood moving, and we got the funk in us. So
wow.
You saw some footage of that. I also taught them the bird.
Okay.
And they had never seen it before. They had never heard the song before. So that was awesome, just being around little kids and exposing them to stuff for the first time and seeing them just bug out on how cool it is, right? So that's what that was.
Did any of the kids, I'm just curious, did they ask any questions about Prince that you remember?
What do you mean? Like any weird questions?
Well, just like, if I was a kid, probably, when I was a kid and I first saw Prince, I was so shocked of like the visual of Prince, like it just was not, I had never seen anything like that before. And I don't know how that plays today, but did they ask like how many instruments did he play, or did they ask what happened to him, or you know what I mean, or just anything in general?
Yeah, there were definitely questions like that. But again, the guest speakers, like we had John Bream come in, and he actually was the person who did the very first interview with Prince and followed his career, from the beginning, literally to the end. And he did a good job of humanizing Prince and saying, that, he was weird, but he was really ambitious and wanting to be successful. So, one of the questions that the kids asked was they were really interested in Under the Cherry Moon. And we only had 1 week, so we obviously couldn't get to everything. But they were like, he did a French movie, and it was black and white. And I was like, so the teacher and me wanted to just go into a whole lesson, but we didn't have time. So they were just fascinated that, just the diversity of his music and his career, that we just obviously couldn't cover everything in 1 week. But that's a beautiful thing. We always want to keep them guessing. We always want to keep them asking questions.
It changes every day. It's so easy for you to lose your way. Meditate, keep your self-control. Take a deep breath and focus on the goal. Just love yourself, live for life. Keep yourself positive-minded. Keep grinding.
All right, we're back. We have a little edit there. We got Big Sexy has joined us. Sir, how are you?
I'm doing well. Had to do some honeydews around the house this morning, so I apologize.
That sounds kind of funny there, but I'm going to let that go.
Wanted to say hi to Mr. Adams, and I do definitely respect what you're doing, man. I respect your pedigree as well, man. I'm all about education, and this guy's doing the work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
For sure. And just to shift a little bit, I mean, this is what I always love. Like, yes, DJ. You said you was a DJ since 13. I know that you got to be a hip hop head then. But how does it? So I want to go into that, but also, man, like, when did you decide? You know what? Let me get in these books and let me go to school and do all this and that. So take me back to 13. How did you become a DJ at 13?
So, man, again, like everybody, I always loved music. I'm a 70s baby, raised in the 80s. So, as a child, Earth, Wind & Fire, Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, Marvin Gaye, fell in love with soul music. And so that's just always been, just part of the musical DNA. Heard Prince at 8. I have 2 older sisters, so who were like 13, 14. So I Want to Be Your Lover came on the radio, man. I remember like it was yesterday. Mama, turn up the radio. Here comes that guitar lick. Ding, ding, ding. The back seat just turned into a party. And I'm like, what is this, man? Me and my sisters are just jamming. And I just remembered that song. I didn't know it was Prince at the time. I just remembered that song. I remembered that feeling. And so when I heard it again, I just was sort of hooked. So it was really through my older sisters that I got into Prince. Controversy, I'm listening to Controversy at 9, 10 years old. You know what I'm saying? So at 13, that's when Run DMC came out with Peter Piper. And that's when I fell in love with Jam Master Jay. And I was like, I want to be a DJ. That's what I want to do. Like, I fell in love with that. Like, everybody else wanted to rap. But I was like, I want to be a DJ. Like, that's what it is.
Well, and, the DJ was the shit back then. That was the main thing, right? I mean, the DJ was just as big, if not bigger, than the rappers to some degree.
Exactly, but it was just something really about Jam Master Jay and the way he could command the records and cut and scratch that just really just blew me away. But when I was 13, to get back how I got to be a DJ, when I was 13, here in the Bay Area, there was a local DJ legend, and he passed away recently. His name was Cameron Paul. He did this 15-minute Prince mix where he took, again, this is 85, so he only had, from For You to Purple Rain. Around the World in a Day hadn't even come out. And he did a 15-minute mix, a Prince mix. And, I stayed up all night and recorded it. And I used to just listen to that thing like till the tape broke. You know what I mean? It just fascinated me. And me being creative, we only had one turntable and a tape recorder. I was like, man, I'm going to figure out how Cameron Paul did this. So I started buying all the Prince records, and I tried to recreate his mix by taping 4 bars of I Want to Be Your Lover, hit pause, so on, let's work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I'm DJing on the tape deck. You know what I mean? Trying to be Cameron Paul. And again, the passion never died. And as I got older, I eventually got my own equipment, and that's where it all started.
So just to give the listeners, some of the younger listeners, because you said something that might go over their heads a little bit. You said I had to stay up all night, record it. He's talking about record it off the radio with no internet back then, the computers. And you would record stuff off the radio, and then that's how you got your jams, really. And you play that tape over and over. You probably dub it. Get you one of them double cassette tape things on the boom.
Exactly.
And dub it over and put some other songs. Yeah, man.
Exactly. That was it, man. But it would start off with tape, and again, one turntable and a cassette player, and just an imagination. You know what I mean? And a love for music. That's where it started for me.
Now, were you in any groups back then, in terms of like, I don't know, rap groups, a hip hop thing or something like that?
Not really back then. Okay. In high school, I started DJing like all the football and basketball games.
Okay.
And that's where I really learned how to really cut and scratch. We had a really well-known stage crew back when I was in high school. So I joined that, and that's where I really learned the mechanics of it, and really how to rock a party and like what songs work. But also too, I went to the same high school with MC Hammer.
Oh,
so
really?
When I was a freshman, Hammer was just coming out with Ring 'Em and Let's Get It Started. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So when Hammer really blew with Please Hammer Don't Hurt Him, if you know anything about that album, he has like 10 Prince samples on that album. He's got With Doves Cry, Soft and Wet. He's all over the place.
That's what's up.
I
Burrell Brothers.
made the connection. Yeah. I made the connection. Like Hammer was ahead. So.
Okay, that's so funny. There was like a brief moment in time. This is around the same time when he came to Seattle. We was almost gonna try and hook up with them and see if we could get put on or something. I always shout out Hammer. He's dope. So, and then also at the same time, I mean, you in the Bay Area. I mean, you have like Too Short popping off. E40 and all that stuff. What was that like to be in that area when all that stuff was going down?
I mean, it was crazy. It was like having, local legends become superheroes, like literally right in front of your eyes. Like 1 minute I'm seeing MC Hammer dancing in my high school gym, and 3 months later he's on MTV. You know what I mean? It just made, and same thing with Too Short. It just made you feel as a youngster like I could do anything. Like I could be successful. Like I could do this. They were just super inspirational. Not to mention that their music was off the hook. Right. But I also got to bring it back to Prince, man. Like, you got to realize after the revolution broke up, he came to the Bay to get his band.
Right.
So Sheila, Levi, Miko, Bonnie Boyer, these are all Bay folks. So I was really proud then. Like, when Sign of the Times came out, I was super proud. I was like, those are my folks up there rocking with the God. You know what I mean? So there was just a lot of Bay love. It was a lot of Bay love, man, back then in rap and in the Prince world, too.
Yeah, that's incredible that he did that, and all of you guys was pretty much ready. I mean, like you said, Bay is a music town. A lot of people forget, like obviously Raphael Sadiq and Tony is coming out of there, among other things. But y'all was ready. Was there like a thing where like everybody knew like you did something, like, or you rap, or you're a musician or something?
Yeah, it was like that, man. It's like you had to. Either you had to play basketball, rap, dance, DJ. You had to do something. You know what I mean? So I was a dancer for a long time, too. So I used to...
Oh, really? Okay, so yeah, you didn't want to talk about...
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's get into it. Now,
we used to get it in with the dancers. Don't get it tangled up, man. I used to get it in.
I love that because we almost sometimes we forget dance was such a big and important part of the culture. I don't know what you're talking about, hip hop or R&B or whatever. The dancers was just as important. The dances were just as important, right? And I remember back then you didn't seem soft if you was dancing. Like if you wasn't dancing, something was wrong with you. Like, well, why come you ain't getting down, man? Like, so no, I respect that.
Exactly, man. Dance was huge, obviously. Again, to bring it back to P, I think P was off like a little bit because he brought the dancing into his show with, Tony M and the Game Boys in like 90, 91. But we had been doing them dances in 88, 89. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it took them a while. You know what I mean? So.
Well, I think that might be the case of, again, Prince was always so ahead of things for a very long time. And to you, I think he just kind of got to a point where he's like on that superstar and you somewhat removed from, I'm not saying the street, but you're just kind of removed from what's popping in the real clubs, instead of the bougie clubs. So you probably.
Wow.
Exactly.
Well, I'm just being, so you don't see a lot of them dances. You kind of see them late. You know what I'm saying? By the time we already, and you, again, remember the culture is moving 100 miles an hour. So there's the new dances and da-da-da-da. So I understand what you're saying by that. And that's not a diss at all. That's just but in terms of this being in the Bay and all of this, like, what Prince concerts were you able to experience during this time?
So I was actually the first Prince concert that I got to see personally was Love Sexy, 88. That was my first show. November 11th, 1988, Oakland Coliseum. That was my very, very first Prince show. And you got to realize that was Prince's sort of homecoming because prior to that, Prince hadn't performed in the Bay Area or even in the United States really since Purple Rain Tour. So that was a bit. He did the Parade Tour and Sign of the Times. That was all in Europe. We didn't see any of that.
Right.
So for him to come back in '88 and come back to Oakland, that was huge. So I got to experience that show. And then like in the '90s with the Emancipation tour, he did a couple shows there. I got to see some after shows. Okay. I got to see some really incredible stuff with P here in the Bay Area. I got to see him perform with Larry Graham and Cynthia from Sly and the Family Stone. Man, just some really incredible stuff I've been able to experience because he loved the Bay so much that that he would always come here and play.
Okay.
Also, too, go ahead, sorry. No, I was gonna say when I was in Irvine, I gotta let folks know this because they don't know this about the history. In the '90s, Prince owned Glam Slam. He had a bunch of them all over the country, but he had one in L.A. And when I was the rap music director, Prince would let artists like the Tribe Called Quest, Wu-Tang Clan, the Alcohol, like all Far Side, he would let them perform and have their record release parties at Glam Slam. None of the other clubs would really let hip-hop acts perform. He would open the doors. So he's a huge, he understood the value of it. Even if he didn't get it, he knew that something culturally was happening, and he gave artists an opportunity and a space to perform. So at his club. So
all right. Also, I wanted to ask you too about because I know the Bay Area, they really get it in terms of putting on some great Prince parties that they have in those areas. I remember I even went to. I think about it now. I went to a couple of those back in the '90s, actually, late '90s. The Bay Area parties. Have you ever been to any of those? Shout out to people like Gigi. It's your boy Alfonso. He's out there too, right?
Alfonso, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then before even them, there was a group called the Dream Factory.
Okay.
In the early 90s with Bobby Thomas and Earl D. They were I used to look up to those guys too. but there's always been a party scene here in the Bay Area. I would say it goes back to the early 90s. We would just get together, man, and just play all Prince all night long. And sometimes it would be at someone's house, and it would be sort of discreet, and sometimes we would get nightclubs. But that's been jumping off in the Bay Area, since the early 90s. Just straight up, strictly Prince parties.
Wow. All right. Listen. And then I wanted to ask you too, for yourself, man, in terms of like, doing these things here. How do you transition, or what makes you say, you know what, I want to get into education? Like, I want to get to let me go get my degree game going, but also like, to be a teacher. You know what I'm saying? Like, what pushes you into that realm?
Yeah, I think honestly, like teaching, just like being a musician, it's something you do, but it's who you are. It's like Prince was a musician. Like that's what he was. That's who he was. And I'm a teacher. That's just what I do. That's intrinsically who I am, whether I'm professional and I have a degree, or if I was somebody, rapping to kids on the corner, gaming them up. I'm an educator. That's just what I do. That's my responsibility to the community. So it was real easy for me to stay focused and go through college and get my master's degree and get all that stuff, because this feels like this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Wow. Okay.
So the beautiful thing with Purple Playground, though, is now I just feel like at this point in my life, now the stars have lined up. My passion for music and DJing, my passion for education, and upholding Prince's legacy have all sort of come together with Purple Playground and the Academy. And I'm able to just like really, really do me, like fully. So it's really beautiful. And thank you so much, Michael. You don't realize how important this podcast is, this forum is, because, 50 years from now, I predict that students who want to learn about Prince, they're going to have to go and listen back to me talking about this and all the people you've interviewed. You know what I mean? That's going to be this guy's how they're going to learn. So what you're doing is extremely important, too, in terms of preserving the legacy. So I got to shout you out.
Well, thank you, man.
Yeah, I got to shout you out.
It's the same thing with you, man. It's just like, your passion for this and wanting to shine a light on things, and so it all comes together. So in terms of, this sort of educational methods that you guys are doing, I'd imagine there are more things coming down the pike for more opportunities.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We'll definitely do the program again next summer. We're actually in the process right now of getting everything organized. I want to be able to offer it. I want more students to have the opportunity to experience it. So we'll try to open up the enrollment a little bit earlier. And really the goal, Michael, is for me, this is my life's work. I would love to move around the country and offer this opportunity to as many kids as possible, and the world too. I mean, Prince affected people all over the world. He was an ambassador.
Yes.
So I would love to go back to Australia and teach the kids the academy down there. Go back to England and take it all over, because our job as teachers are to plant seeds. And I believe the next Prince will probably come from the academy, or will be exposed from that. So
okay,
in that spirit, it's the work.
For sure. Hey, listen. Y'all doing the work. That song's, you're doing everything that song talked about. I'm just curious, what had got you? How did you get to Australia? You said you were DJing. You said you were DJing in Australia.
Yeah. So I've just been lucky again to through P and through my connections and meeting fans to travel and get to play. So in 2013, I went down to Australia. I hooked up with a cat out there, a big Prince head named Adams. And he has a band called Lake Minnetonka. And, these Australian cats, man, funky as heck.
Getting it in.
And went down there and linked up with them and did a party out there. And and that was in 2013. I actually lived in England in 90. After I graduated college, I lived in England 96, 97. That's when Emancipation came out. And, real quick story. I had a voice agent because I did radio. I had a voice agent, and I used to do radio commercials in the UK.
Wow.
Whenever they needed a Black American accent, they call Willie. You know what I'm saying? So,
Call Willie.
call Willie, man. We selling Saints off.
That name
call
came
Willie.
in. That name worked. Right? I'm just messing.
Right. So I met this cat. His name was John Sachs, and he was a producer. And he heard me, and he was like, "Oh man, I can get you work or whatever." And he called me. He said, "Come down to the office." I go down to the office. The very first assignment I get, Prince, Emancipation album release.
Wow.
That's the very first commercial I do is for Pete. So
amazing.
In England, man. So I was the voice for all the adverts, man, for Emancipation in '96, all over Europe, all over the UK.
Wow, man.
Well, was the UK, but it ain't the UK no more. But
I tip my hat to you, man. You making things happen, man. You doing things. It's good to hear. You hear other people and just their stories, and I'm like listening to you. I'm like, man, this brother is pushing forward, whatever he's doing. You know what I'm saying? There's no boundaries to it. You're out there moving. We ain't even talked about. We ain't even got into the purple ones yet. But man, so many hats. So talk to me. You got the tribute band. What's the status on that?
Yeah, so the purple ones is a Bay Area. There's a lot of tribute bands, obviously, all over the country. But in the Bay Area, there's a couple, and one of the most prominent ones is the Purple Ones. They've been around for about 6 years. Levi Caesar is the musical director.
Oh, really? Okay.
And yeah, he's the guitarist and musical director.
I'm gonna be talking to Levi next week, so I'm gonna ask him about that.
Oh yeah, definitely ask him. We just did a gig last night, actually.
All right.
So yeah, I've been working with them about 2 years. And it's a 12-piece band. So you got 4 horns.
Wow.
They just really do an awesome job of interpreting the music. And so there are usually 2 or 3 vocalists. So I rotate amongst the vocalists. Myself, Pam Fields, and Derek Clark is now singing with the group. And I also DJ with the group, too. So I'll, do warm-up sets or do scratching and background vocals during the performances. And, just getting down that way. Again, I just love music, and I love to honor Pete. So, you know what I mean? However I got to get down, that's how I get down.
I love it. And then, with all of that we've talked about so far, your number one job, you're doing all these things, but you still have such an important job is the fact that you are a father, right? Like, it just blows my mind that it's so active, but you still, have that responsibility of being a dad and doing that whole thing. I mean, how do you juggle all these things and being a parent?
Right. You just do the best you can, man. Again, I learned from my hero, man, from Pete. If you are focused and if you're passionate about what you do, you'll find the energy. You'll find a way to make it happen, or you'll find excuses not to.
Wow.
And so whenever I get frustrated or think I can't do it, or I just dream big and I just try to follow my dreams just like him. So P is my idol, man. He was the God. He was the ancestor. So now he's the ancestor. So whenever I feel like I can't accomplish something, I can look back at his career and I find inspiration. And you just do the best you can with what you can do. So right now my focus is really Purple Playground, the Academy of Prince. I really want to grow that. There are some great DJs and vocalists who can carry on the legacy in that manner, but as an educator, I have to use my expertise, and we got to use our gift to uphold the legacy in the best way. So my focus now is continue to work with Heidi. We're going to grow Purple Playground. We're going to grow the Academy of Prince. You're going to be hearing a lot about it in the coming years. Like, that's going to be in my goal, my dream is for Purple Playground and the Academy of Prince to be the premier spot where kids learn about our man.
I love it, man. Shout out to Heidi. Real good people. A chance to meet her last year. Real cool, man. Real cool, down to earth. Awesome, man. You left us with some good stuff. Now I want to change things up a little bit. As we've been recording this past couple of days, there's been some new stuff that then hit the purple streets out here. And what I'm talking about is, I want to say up to 23 Prince albums that were a little hard to find. But now, through the deal with Sony Legacy, these albums are available on pretty much all of the streaming platforms. And then they also released a compilation that they call Anthology that sort of pulls songs from all of these releases. So I wanted to get you and Big Sexy, I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on this, these new releases out there. And I want to start with our guest, Mr. Adams. What do you think about the release of these new albums?
Man, I want to hear Big Sexy, man. I feel like I've been talking a lot, but I want to hear what Big Sexy had to say. But I think it's a great thing, honestly. Again, there are some fans who are like, if you just became a fan after 421, I think that's fine. Like, if you don't know that music, then here's an opportunity for you to really dive deep into the legacy and really understand the depth of this man's music. Like, so I think it's a beautiful thing that these songs have been released. And it's so much music, it's going to take you a while to digest it. Mm-hmm. So I hope people don't see it and get overwhelmed. That's my only thing, is like, you get overwhelmed and you just stick with the same 10 songs that you like over and over again. I hope people really understand that this is an opportunity for you to really see why the cat was so amazing. So I definitely think the release of the anthology is awesome, especially, albums like the NEWS album, the jazz album that, is incredible. But again, when it came out, nobody was really checking for that. Nobody was really feeling that. A lot of these albums, I'm going to keep it 100. in the 90s, man, you got cats now. I remember when the Gold Experience came out, cats was hating that now are praising it. You know what I mean? Or
you talk about the song now, right?
You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's sort of my take on it. I think it's a beautiful thing.
All right. Big Sexy, sir.
Well, it's like Willie said, a lot of these things haven't been widely available until now, and a lot of them, did catch a little bit of shade for being different than Purple Rain or Little Red Corvette. I think it's great because when you look at the sampling of all the albums, you get live stuff, you get jazz stuff, you get NPG Music Club stuff, you get, stuff that was released in the papers like 2010, which was woefully underpromoted, so it's good. And you get the Gold Experience, which is a story by itself, because that was the album that was right in the midst of the whole beef with him and Warner's. So you get it all, and I think it's great. Now, the Crystal Ball, if that's the 5 CD Crystal Ball set, you're in for a treat with that too. There's so much to digest, and for people new to this and they jump in, now generally I do not like streaming services, but for something like this with such a volume, they can sit down and think, well, let me just jump in and listen to this, listen to that, listen to this, and get a little more clarity about the work. Because again, I'm looking at the list now, Rainbow Children's on it. That album is brilliant. Because I've listened to that several times, and every time I hear it, I hear something new. And that's what makes an album really stand out. So this is great. Now, the collection of the anthology, it's a good cross-sampling, but it's not in chronological order. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Right.
I'm glad it's out there.
Yeah. Right. And Michael, you made a good point on Facebook about the most beautiful girl in the world, how that is like mysteriously sort of absent from this anthology. I'm wondering what your thoughts and opinions are on that.
Well, yeah, I was saying it's not listed on the Gold Experience album as it should be, right? But after doing some digging and seeing some other people talk about it, apparently there was a plagiarism case out of Italy involving Prince and that song, and Prince lost that suit, if I'm speaking correctly. And I guess a part of that was, Warner Brothers or the estate is not able to be distributing that song until they get that matter cleared up. So I think that may be the reason why we really are not seeing that on this release. Which is, and it's unfortunate, but because that's such that song has a great history about why that song was important. You know what I'm saying? Even just the song itself, but in terms of like what that does for Prince business wise and what that meant for artists. But aside from that, to me, I think this is cool. I look at this more in the terms of years from now, how I can see this would be very beneficial, because there are, again, a lot of new fans to Prince, young and old, who are probably going to hear the bigger hits, right? Which I have no problem with that. Those are great songs. And I think those would just be the gate, I'm going to be careful with my word. It'd be the gateway thing to bring them in. And then when they go to whatever streaming service they like and they see all of this stuff, they're in for a treat, No matter where they start, there are going to be good songs for them to hear. And I just think, looking at these covers, and it's like, Prince is, the visuals is just as important. And to me, I think that they all sort of grab your attention. Like, you want to, what is this? What's this one about? This isn't Purple Rain, or this isn't, this is something totally different. And I think there's just so much to choose from. I can imagine people will just sample and pull different songs and add to their playlist and be like, oh, this is cool, And I also think that there is such a, it's like when you bite off a little bit, there's so much more deeper for all these albums. I think like if there's a new fan and they start getting into this and they go read about some of this stuff, they're going to be like, whoa, I didn't know this guy he planned ahead so much, or there was this backstory that went with this that I had no idea about. So I think it's just like when the person does dive in, there's so much for them that it's just incredible. So it's like it's all, it's all there musically, and they're going to be like, whoa, and then they're going to read shit, and they're going to hear these podcasts, and they'll be like, oh, that's why. You know what I mean? And then, when they get into that, somehow they're going to hear like some unreleased shit, and their head is just going to explode, because it's just like, it don't make no sense. How can one person have all this? Right. So I think it's a great thing, for us as the hardcore fans, I got that. But this not really for us per se. This is that legacy push forward to like, we're just going to open it out, and it's going to be important, way more important later for newer people coming up. And that, lastly, I would say that anthology thing, to me, that is, I look at it as a playlist. But again, if I was not a Prince fan and I just knew certain songs and I saw this on there and I was like, oh, this is like, a compilation thing, I'm going to listen to this because I don't know the backstory. I just know that these are songs, and I imagine they must be good because they're putting them all on one thing for me. And again, I think it'd be that's a gateway drug to get you to want to hear the other stuff, because you'll be like, oh, I like Black Sweat. I want to go, what album is that from? Oh, okay, let me check that out. Or Emancipation. What? Oh, that's a 3-album set? Huh? So that's how I look at it, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and also, too, from an educational standpoint, it's awesome now. I think about my students. Now they can dive deep into this music, too. It's because really the kids are the ones that really have the time to really analyze it and get deep into it. So I'm thankful for my students now. And also as teachers, we have to teach. I'm realizing, too, Purple Playground is obviously for the kids, but there are a lot of adults who want knowledge and education around Prince and his legacy and the importance of the music. So I want to start offering courses to adults eventually as well, and getting us together to talk and to intellectualize about, the impact of this work. So to me, it's a beautiful thing all the way around.
Yeah, and I saw somebody else say this. I can't remember who. I'm sorry if I don't remember who said. I know they're going to tell me, but they were saying it'd be a good idea to, I think, do like a compilation that sort of had a theme around a certain style, maybe. So it's like, these would be R&B, or these could be, the jazz stuff, or, to really show like, that each album's stand on their own, but then to be able to show like, yo, this is Prince, all his like, you know what I'm saying, slow songs, like, and you really can, I think that would help people really see like, yo, this dude was serious. Like he had all these styles and he was, you know, he freaked all of them. He did them his way. You know what I'm saying? I would argue you could probably say, here's like his almost gospel-y, you know, spiritual type joints. And here's, you know, the new wave funked out, you know what I mean? Just, so I could be the next, I could see them doing sort of things like that to sort of spotlight the different styles. And then you would just get tastes of that style. And then, okay, go dive back into the album, you know, and you get the full scope of it. But yeah, this is good stuff, man. You know, I don't even get into the conversation of, well, Prince, he didn't want it on. Well, we already know that. We know that,
right.
You know, but we at right now, and they have to do what they got to do. You know,
they got to do what they got to do. And I think, honestly, Prince didn't make the music because he didn't want you to hear it. You know, he just wanted it to be right. He wanted the business to be right.
There you go.
You know what I mean? And they wasn't doing the business right. So I don't think Prince was like, don't listen to my music. He obviously made it for us to listen to. And there's messages in there. To me, there's morals and life lessons in that music. More so than that it sounds good and it makes you feel good. It stimulates thought. It gives us something to think about. It gives us ideas to ponder and ways to sort of look at the world. So it's way more important than just being entertaining and fun.
Right.
So it's deep.
Yeah, man. So yeah, it's a lot of great music there. I guess the next thing, I think we had talked about this on a other podcast when we talked about the Sony deal, and we were talking, we were talking about CDs, and I was kind of questioning how are they going to drop 20 CDs of albums in the store, like where do they do that? And then the other conversation was about remastering things. So I do think that there is an opportunity though to maybe sort of pick some of these projects to do like they did Purple Rain deluxe editions, and I would I don't know if you would agree. I would say, Sign of Times would be a prime one to, do some sort of remaster, then maybe throw in some other stuff to go with it. But having all of these albums out there is great. I'm like, okay, whatever deal they got to do to get the Paisley Park releases on streaming. Let's get it, because we need to see the Madhouse albums, Jill Jones, Family.
Exactly. I was just gonna say, there's a whole another catalog of associated artists that that hasn't even been tapped yet. So I think this is a good start. I predict that within the next 5 to 10 years, all this stuff hopefully will be available. We'll have access to it. Again, teachers can use it to teach. Fans to use it to learn and to grow their knowledge. And again, there's just some bad jams on there, man. You were talking about the Rainbow Children, Big Sexy. One of the showstoppers at the parties in the Bay Area is 1 + 1 + 1 is 3. You play that out here, man, the crowd loses it. And that's that's from Rainbow Children, and a lot of if you're a mainstream fan, that song you might have missed that. Now you have an opportunity to hear it. Beautiful.
Yeah, the Rainbow. We're gonna have another podcast. This is gonna be the Rainbow Children debate show, because I'm ready. I'm ready for all the smoke. Anybody got a problem with that album? Because that album is banging. Like I love everything about it. I love the voice. What he's talking about. I'm with it. I like that. To me. And I can understand why people was like, oh, Joe, what is it? But to me, it's no different than I like, Public Enemy, and I like Big Daddy Kane and some of Rakim, and they be talking about religious stuff, a different ideology, and we like that because they doing that. And I think that's cool. I may not always agree with every little, I don't live by a lot of it, but I respect an artist that just says, yo, this is what we on right now. And boom, there it is. You know what I'm saying? So to me, Prince just did the same thing. I'm on this JW stuff. I'm on this Egyptian shit. I'm on some Martin Luther King. We need to get our family name type. I'm with all of that. I have no problem.
I'm even on my Malcolm. I'm gonna call Abraham Lincoln a racist.
I'm with the
on my record. You know what I'm saying? You definitely need to have me on the show when you have that debate because, again, I'm just going to keep it 1,000. A lot of folks don't like that album because Prince is telling the truth, and that's probably one of the blackest albums that he did.
Yeah, man.
It's black. You know what I mean? He's talking about the plight and state of black folks. And people like to look at Prince as an icon and he embraced everyone, but he was really all about his blackness from the very beginning to the very end. He died wearing an afro. That wasn't no mistake. You know what I'm saying? He was black. And that is a very black and very spiritual record. And he's saying things that just aren't popular. And when you say stuff that aren't popular and you challenge people to think about things in a different way, you're going to get backlash. And that album got a lot of backlash when it came out. I don't know I'm sure you cats remember, people were not checking it.
I mean, my man had discussions about it, right? It was like, he probably was like, I already know. We're going to open up the part. I mean, that was the first celebration, if I'm not mistaken. Like, yo.
It was the second one.
The second one? Okay, so yeah, he probably was like, I already know. We're going to have discussions.
We're going to talk about this. Yeah. And I remember going, because that was the One Night Alone tour. Did any of you guys see that show?
I saw that, yeah. It's one of my favorites.
Rainbow Children?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it was like when you saw it where you were, but in Oakland at the Paramount Theater, a lot of the audience sat down during all the Rainbow Children songs. And then remember the second set was like Kids and whatever, and they getting up, hooping and hollering and dancing. But I could tell he was making people a little uncomfortable with the presentation of that music. And to me, I was applauding it. I was like, this is brilliant. This is an artist really challenging his audience. That's what artists are supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
He was really pushing us in a way that he had never done before. And that's what great artists do.
Yeah.
So what was it like for you guys in your experience with that show?
Go ahead, Big Sex.
Well, it's just like he said, the same thing happened as the way you presented it. Because I don't know if you were there, Willie, in '93 at the Bill Graham Civic on the Act One tour, but it was the same type of thing. The bulk of the people in there didn't know the new stuff. So he comes out with, family name and things like that. People are looking like, well, what's this? I don't understand this. And then when people like you and I and Mike, we're like, yeah, this is what we want to hear. We want to hear the new stuff. We want to see what he's doing. We want to be challenged. And then for the second portion, it's Kiss and Blue Red Corvette and the chaos erupts. But it's like the first half, he's like, look, I want you to see where I am right now. Mm-hmm. This is where my headspace is. We'll get to stuff you guys know in a minute. But this is where I am right now. When he got through that, I was like, this is great. I loved it. I like being faced with new music and challenge like that. And like you said, I think it's an artist's responsibility to do that, to, not necessarily educate, but to definitely make your audience think more and look outside the box. And that's what he did with this album.
Yeah, when I saw that show, again, this was when they had the music club was popping, where you got the, the sound check and all that. So I had already seen that. And they was like, you can sit in those same seats before the show starts. I was front stage. So for us, we was on our feet.
What?
It was, I'll talk about it another time, but I was already done. So I was like, when that show came on, heaven, like, I couldn't tell you what they was saying behind me because I didn't turn around. We was all in it to win it. He shut it down. But I knew was there like an intermission in that show or something?
Oh, yes.
I do remember hearing people in the lobby like, I didn't know that song. And he was like, I'm not playing that. But I was with it. I was like, hell yeah, that's right. That's why you come to the show. But yeah, but I loved it. But yeah, that album, like I said, man, that was, to me, one of his greatest albums because it was different. The music was so, like, spectacular. Like, he raised the bar for himself on that album, man. It was just like, he killed that. So, yeah, Rainbow Children, I always tell people, man, go check that out. I don't be like, you ain't ready for it. No, you ain't supposed to be ready for it. You're not supposed to be ready for no Prince. It's supposed to be some shit that's over your head, and you have to get ready. You know what I'm saying? He's supposed to be in front of you, and that album is probably gonna be in front of expectations, and I like you just gotta just sit down. I always say just sit down, maybe get you a drink, turn the lights off, because the way that album starts, man, it's just so like mesmerizing. It just gets you rise.
Right.
I just like this.
Yep.
I was like, this motherfucker's in church. I could just see like some weird, funky ass sweating church, and they just getting into the word. I was like, So to me, it's just incredible, man.
Yeah, not to mention the story. And also the musicianship on there. We got to shout out John Blackwell.
Yeah.
His drumming on there is incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. He was such a genius on those drums, and it really comes out on that album. And
Yeah. And I would say
I think Rhonda plays on there as well. It's just brilliant.
And to me, that album, I always put them back to back because they're so close musically, is the Expectation project, man. To me, that's just you listen to Rainbow Children, take a second, and then go put on Expectation. Man, high watermark like this. It's just, to me, it's just an ill ass album, man. Musically, it's like, man, you'd be like, this Prince? It's like, yeah, man. Boy, damn, okay. Because it's just sounds some other shit to me. For me, that's like, this may sound crazy, and I think I said this before. If he would have some reason he had to just stop, just say I'm done for the game, and he stopped at that point, I'd be straight. Like, I mean, not to say none of the other stuff is not banging, but to me, that was just like, for me, that was another peak, and I don't personally, from my own opinion, don't feel like he rose above that peak. And that's I'm not dissing none of the other stuff. I'm just saying from my own personal, like that was to me, it was just a whole other level of musicianship. The live shows, the album, he was on some other stuff, man.
Without a doubt.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, listen, before we get out of here, where can they get more information about the Purple Playground?
Yeah, so you can actually, again, big shout out to Heidi. She just completed revamping our website.
Okay.
Literally just last night, she sent me a text like, Heidi, crazy. Here's a new website. I'm like, what? You just built a new website? So, yeah, purpleplayground.org. purpleplayground.org. You can get all the information about our mission, our programming, and just stay tuned to that for information for the next academy. And some adults have been asking me, are we going to do something for the adults? I'm working on that. I would love to get together and do some teaching with adults as well as the children. So stay tuned for that as well.
All right. And I imagine, I haven't pulled it up, but I like to keep it funky. So we can go on there and donate so we can really get popping, so that we can get actual tangible resources to do stuff. Because I know everybody, we're going to talk about that. I like to have tangible resources. So is there a opportunity where I can go on there and actually put down some bread to help the cause? Is that on the site?
Oh, absolutely. As soon as you click on the site, the first thing you see is donate. Because we need money, and not money. We just need money to give us the energy and, again, like you said, the resources to produce quality work for the kids. That's
what it's about.
You don't get in. I don't know no teacher that got rich being a teacher. I'm like, I'm a poor righteous teacher.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I'm a poor righteous teacher, y'all. So support us so that I can provide quality programming for the kids, and I can, again, use what God has given me to uphold the legacy. And again, Michael Dean, thank you so much, man, for having this platform. You don't even realize, my brother, like I said,
I do.
College students, we're going to be listening to, they're going to be having to listen to this for homework in 50 years. Watch.
Let me get one of these college professors checks. Shit.
Exactly.
But no, it's all for the love, man. Big Sexy, where can people find you online?
Oh, man, as usual, I'm over running around in Twitter under WSE Mark on Instagram. Oh, yes, I'm on Instagram under WSE Mark as well, and Facebook under Mark Wiggins.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you can check us out at podcastjuice.net. If you haven't, and if you can, please become a Patreon. Check out our Patreon page. It'll be on the show notes of this episode. We can always use the support to keep this thing rolling. My name is Michael Dean. Yo, work it like a job. We'll see you next time. Peace.